39 years. Tears and sighs of relief as family, friends and some of the survivors of Graham Southwell's sexual abuse reacted to the sentence. Chief Justice Anthony Dudley described the sentencing as the most complicated one he has ever worked on. And today was the day that everyone who testified against Graham Southwell has been waiting for. The court was packed today in support of the victims who had suffered at the hands of Gibraltar's most prolific paedophile, Graham Southwell, shown here during his trial last year. Southwell's lawyer, Robert Fishel KC, presented the court with cases from England and Wales ahead of sentencing, but noted that there were no cases locally as serious as his clients. The 5 victims wrote personal statements that were read out by prosecutor Johan Fernandez. One read, "I've been haunted for years by a man who took my innocence, my sense of safety, and part of my soul. The pain he's caused might never fully heal." Another wrote, "I hope it can encourage other victims to step forward." This sentiment had been echoed throughout the trial by the survivors and their families. A third said, "This coward has marked my life in a way that only those unfortunate enough to have gone through this will understand." Another made a simple point which will now feel more achievable. We deserve to feel safe again. The personal statements were powerful and spoke volumes of their resilience, all describing the torment and suffering they endured, but also how they felt they were no longer silenced. His lack of previous convictions was cited as mitigation, although Justice Dudley told the court that Southwell had used his apparent good character to manipulate his victims and facilitate his sexual offending. When listing the aggravating features, the Chief Justice referred to the overwhelming evidence of grooming, the steps Southwell took to stop his victims reporting him, the severe psychological effects on victims, the sustained reoffending to the same victim, and the ages of the victims when the abuse occurred. The judge was clear in his sentencing comments. If ever there was a case that could be described as a campaign of abuse and rape, this would be it. Justice Dudley described the case as the most complicated he'd overseen due to the severity of some of the historic offences that fall under old legislation for which sentencing options fall far, far short of what the same crimes would incur today. Justice Dudley described Southwell's actions as a horrendous course of conduct, which was agreed upon by Southwell's lawyer. The Chief Justice told the court that the counts ranged from serious to very serious offences, that all the victims were children, and the abuse spanned a period of 25 years. He described Southwell as a sexual predator and said that one of the victims had got it right when they described him as a wolf in sheep's clothing. Justice Dudley valued the victims' personal statements, telling the court it showed the devastation the defendant had brought to the victims and their families. He commended them for coming forward, as it serves as a message to other victims to also come forward. The judge ran through all 19 counts, analysing in the context of the totality principle when making the decision whether sentences would run concurrently or consecutively. He insisted that there were 5 distinct voices of each victim, and the sentences therefore had to reflect all Southwell's offending. The Chief Justice ultimately ruled that sentences for 5 of the most serious charges will be served consecutively, with the other 14 charges to be served concurrently. The total sentence was 39 years, with not less than half to be served before parole could be requested. By this time, Southwell would be 82 years old, and, the judge proposed, would no longer pose a risk to the public. Details of a sexual offences prevention order will be discussed in court tomorrow, but today marks the end of a harrowing chapter in the lives of those who suffered at the hands of a predator.